Everyone good? Good afternoon. My name is Deputy Russell Davis, Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer. Before we start, I'd like to put out my thoughts and prayers to the victims and their families of what happened today. This is a tragic situation that we're dealing with right now, and we're using all the resources we have right now to find out what exactly happened and what transpired. Our first primary focus is public safety. We want to ensure everything that happened from today is we want to ensure the biggest public safety for the surrounding area and our whole community. This morning at 6:34 in the morning, Santa Clara County Communications received 911 phone calls of a shots fired call in the area of 101 West Younger Avenue, located in the city of San Jose, which is directly adjacent right next door to the Sheriff's Office headquarters. Deputies responded and received information that there were multiple shots fired calls located from that building. During this time, this was during a shift change where deputies from the midnight shift and day shift were on at the same time, going through a transition into different shifts. Once we received that information, deputies and surrounding officers immediately responded to the location and addressed the threat in the situation. They did not wait. They immediately went into the scene and rendered first aid and rescued victims out of the building as fast as they can to figure out what was going on. I could tell you this was at a Valley Transportation Authority light rail yard, which is next door to Sheriff's Office headquarters. Immediately once we received information of shots fired called, we immediately activated the Santa Clara County Active Shooter Protocol, which activated multiple law enforcement agencies in the surrounding counties, as well as multiple fire department agencies to initiate and activate the Rescue Task Force, which is part of the Active Shooter Protocol, which we'll go into more detail. Multiple agencies showed up and assisted, from local agencies within Santa Clara County, state level from the Office of Emergency Services, Governor's Office, the California Highway Patrol, and multiple federal agencies from the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, ATF, and Department of Homeland Security. I'll tell you right now, with the numbers, and it's still preliminary and it's subject to change, we have 8 victims that are pronounced deceased from today's incident, from gunshot wounds. We also have 1 suspect who is deceased as well from this morning's incident. I can confirm with you that deputies did not exchange gunfire, and right now we're going to preliminary go with the assumption that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound from the suspect, and deputies did not exchange gunfire. At this point, we have investigators on scene interviewing anybody that was on scene to see what exactly happened, and we have our CSI teams as well outside, along with conjunction with the Federal Bureau of Investigations assisting. Right now, if you are looking for a family member, loved one involved with this incident, we ask you to contact our Reunification Center, which is over here at 70 West Heading. It's located at the Isaac Newton Auditorium. We have grief counselors on scene. The phone number to call is 408-209-8356. I'll repeat it one more time, 408-209-8356. So this incident is going to take some time, and the reason why is because we're going to use all necessary methods to ensure the public safety for everyone. We actually had an explosives dog on scene, which detected to some type of explosives material at the crime scene itself. At that point, we activated the Sheriff's Office bomb squad, who is currently on scene, and render any type of suspicious packaging safe at that point. I'll tell you, it's going to take a long time to render these areas safe. They have to go through every room and every building to ensure that everything is safe. So that's such as in bringing in a bomb robot in there, and it takes time. So I ask for your patience on gathering further information from here. It's going to be some time. Other than that, we have detectives on scene. We're doing everything we can, but I'll tell you this, with the training that we've been doing with our active shooter protocol, this could have been a lot worse of a situation. This is a very unfortunate situation. But with the training and everything that we have with this protocol, this could have been a lot worse than what it was, unfortunately. So that being said, I'm going to pass it on to Sheriff Lori Smith, who's going to give you further information from there.
What are the areas that you're covering with the bomb squad?
The bomb squad is pretty much activated, and they're searching every crevice of the whole building to ensure that everything is safe. And that's where it's going to take some time. The VTA Transit Center, which is a light rail, it's pretty much a light rail facility, pretty much light rail garage.
What's the reason that Homeland Security is involved?
We appreciate having federal agencies coming out. They come out here just to provide resources for us. Hey, do you need any assistance? And in that case, and if we need help, we'll ask them out in that case. So they're just being that entity to help us out.
How
So.
many rooms will they have to go through?
It depends how big this building is. I haven't been in the building myself, but it's going to take some time. So we ask you for that patience.
What's the size of the structure?
Any indication on motive, we don't have that information right now. This is still preliminary. This is still ongoing. All the information I have is I can give out at this point, and we're still getting that as we get along.
What's the size of the search area for explosive devices? And is there any indication that the people who were killed were specifically targeted, or was this an employee showing up at work with a grudge and just spraying indiscriminately?
So this is a big building. I can't get into the details how big this building is, but it's a pretty decent sized building. In regards with motive, I don't have that information. This is still preliminary, and I'm still trying to get that information at this point.
Do we know if the shooting took place inside, outside, or
I don't know at this point if it's inside or outside. We have. Yeah, I'm going to pass it off to Sheriff Lori Smith, and then she's going to take over from here.
So what I'd first like to do is tell everyone that my heart really goes out to the victims. These were county employees, and we're doing everything we can to help them, including the Family Reunification Center. But I really want to commend the law enforcement in Santa Clara County. Several years ago, the Sheriff's Office, in conjunction with the County Fire Department, began a series of trainings for active shooter. And that training has happened throughout the county with law enforcement and all fire agencies. And why that differs is that at the time there's an active shooter, as soon as we can get one team together, we go in. The first teams through the door were the Sheriff's Office and San Jose Police Department, and they're my true heroes. There was active shooting going on at that time. There were victims shot in 2 separate buildings, but they responded the way that they should. They took their life in their hands, and I know for sure that when the suspect knew that law enforcement was there, he took his own life. Our deputies were right there at that time. So it's a very complex investigation. We now know that San Jose is working on the house fire, and we're still putting that together. But our detectives are on scene, and we're doing everything we can to identify the victims as soon as possible so their loved ones can know. So thank you very much for covering this, and we will continue to give you updates as the investigation progresses. It's still too early for us to know, but the suspect was an employee also. Thank you.
So I'm going to pass it on to Governor Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Let me thank the sheriff, the mayor, our police chief, captain, all the men and women in uniform. You're going to learn over the course of the next number of days and weeks about the heroism of the San Jose police, saved lives, deputy sheriffs that quite literally ran seconds after hearing about this incident without any consideration of their own lives, and did an extraordinary job to save other people's lives. That said, there's a numbness I imagine some of us are feeling about this, because there's a sameness to this. Anywhere USA. It just feels like this happens over and over and over again. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It wasn't that long ago I was standing out here talking about the tragic loss of children, one in a mother's arms, the Gilroy Festival, just here in this community, down in Southern California, down in San Bernardino. Remember a few years prior in Santa Barbara. Pick a state. And here we are in the United States of America, where we're experiencing something just is not experienced anywhere else in the world. There's a sameness to this. And that numbness, I think, is something we're all feeling. All of us gathered here today, looking at this scene, listening to governors, mayors, chiefs, speaking similar tone and terms, expression of condolences, all the right emotions and perhaps the right words, but it begs the damn question, what the hell is going on in the United States of America? What the hell is wrong with us? And when are we going to come to grips with this? When are we going to put down our arms literally and figuratively, our politics, the stale rhetoric, finger pointing, all a hand-wringing consternation that produces nothing except more fury and frustration, more scenes like this repeated over and over and over again. I say that not as a governor, I just say that as a father of four. I say that as a member of this community, cares deeply about it. So we'll have time to work through all of that. But one thing I just wanted to briefly speak to is the pain in those victims. We just had the privilege of spending the last few hours with the victims that are waiting to just learn if their loved one is still alive. They're dialing the phones, they can't find it. They're trying to go on and find a phone of a loved one. Waiting to hear from the coroner, waiting to hear from any of us, just desperate to find out if their brother, their son, their dad, their mom is still alive. Just imagine being in their field. I know everybody wants all the answers to all these questions, but there's no more important question and no more important answers that we owe than the victims of this senseless and tragic shooting. And so I'm not just going to express my condolences. I'm not just going to express the usual platitudes. But let me just thank the heroism of those victims. The fact that they can even stand up and support one another is remarkable. What a human act. And so I just want to, we just want folks to know we're going to be there for the victims. I want folks to know, I'm here for you, Mr. Mayor, and the county, this state. And I know we have elected officials of all political stripes who want to be here for this nation. But it's time to deal with the endemic before this pandemic of gun violence, the pre-existing condition that somehow sort of pushed aside last year, but now has raised its ugly head again this year. And wake up to this reality and take a little damn responsibility, all of us, to do a little bit more and a little bit better this time and move beyond the platitudes and the usual rhetoric that tends to mark not just these moments, but the aftermath of these moments as all of you go away and this fades out of view, and then we rinse and repeat someplace else in this country. So again, to the victims, to those that lost their lives and the families lost their loved ones, yes, our hearts go out, but we are resolved to not make this meaningless, but to bring meaning at this tragic moment in our state and our nation's history. Again, thank you to all the men and women behind me and their courageousness and the incredible bravery that was demonstrable of the men and women in our San Jose Police Department and Sheriff's Office.
Governor, what you say to people who say California has some of the toughest gun laws?
So next we're going to introduce Valley Transportation Authority Chair President Glenn Hendricks.
As you all know, a horrible tragedy has impacted the VTA family, the organization, and our whole community. And our thoughts and love go out to all the employees who have been directly and indirectly impacted by this horrible event. I want to let you know that the families have been moved to the Family Assistance Center at the Red Cross to continue to have meet with counselors about what's happening. We're really grateful for the outpouring of support that has come from union leadership and transit organizations from across the country. The VTA has suspended its light rail service and will probably be suspended for several days as we work through being able to get back into the yard. We'll be setting up bus bridges to go ahead and help get our customers around. We're asking that our customers be patient with us as we work through this event and try and recover our service. And I also want to thank all the law enforcement that's been involved in their quick reaction and the way they've been dealing with everyone who is involved by this. And once again, I want to say how terribly sorry I am and want to thank everybody in the VTA family who's been so affected.
Next we're going to introduce the President of the County Board of Supervisors for Santa Clara County, Mike Wasserman, and County Supervisor Cindy Chavez.
It was 2 years ago, the mass shooting in Gilroy, and law enforcement responded quickly and minimized the number of fatalities. Last year we had COVID. Still have COVID, but last year was the big year, and the people and the county responded so as to have the lowest positivity rate in the state. Today we had this mass shooting here, and it was the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department and the San Jose Police Department that responded so quickly to minimize the loss of lives. As you can see, our flag now is at half-mast to help commemorate and remember the people that have passed today. It is an extremely sad day in the history of Santa Clara County, but I'm also very proud of the response by law enforcement and then the VTA family taking care of the loved ones, the survivors of those that passed, and the district attorney's office that has stepped forth with the services they provided 2 years ago to the people in Gilroy and continue to provide every day and will provide to the survivors, loved ones, and family of those that passed. It is a sad day in Santa Clara County history, but I'm very proud of the response, including the unions that have come forward with funding and help. Santa Clara County is a family, and you're seeing that go into effect today. My condolences to all the family members and friends of those that passed today.
Thank you. You know, let me start by just reminding everybody that the backbone of Santa Clara County throughout COVID-19 was all the essential workers, and none were more essential than making sure people could get to their places of work. And VTA never stopped. It didn't stop light rail, it didn't stop buses, it didn't stop helping move people from point A to point B. These heroes that we all learned how to call essential workers heroes, we're now calling on them to be heroes again. There's a fund that's been set up for these families, and by going to workingpartnerships.org, anybody who wants to make a contribution to the families that have been impacted, the VTA families that have been impacted, can do that directly by going to workingpartnershipsusa.org. I just want to close with this point. While my heart breaks, I can't stop thinking about what we could all be doing differently to stop this in our community so this doesn't become something that just happens here, but something that should never happen. And thank all of you for being here. Thank you.
Next, I'm going to introduce Mayor of San Jose, Sam Liccardo.
It's been said before, but it's worth saying again. Our hearts are broken for the family members who have lost their loved ones, for our VTA family members who have lost their friends and colleagues. I'm joined here by Councilmember Raul Perales, who himself lost a dear friend, and Councilmember Matt Mahan. These are members of our community. These are members of our families. And right now, this moment is for mourning and for supporting those families and friends and loved ones. And we're going to do everything we can here at the city with all of our partners, and I'm so grateful for how everyone has stepped up. The Valley Transportation Authority, the county, and to have the governor come down here. Literally came down here, said, I don't need to speak to anybody on any stage or